For us agents. Again, this is Jacob Crotty here. Pleasure, guys. Filling in for Steven, who will be in on our exclusive Zoom meeting here after we wrap up. Again, that is for Guru Career Agents. We will have that link available. If you are one of our agents, if you want to become one of our agents, stick around and I'll tell you about it at the end. But we have an ongoing topic here this week. We are going over discovery as an agent. Yesterday, we talked about the need versus want dilemma, that paradigm here where you need to help people that you're talking to about the plans that they need, not the plans that they want. Today, we're going to go a little bit more specific with it. We're going to do the what you need to know versus why you need to know it. And this is actually hitting home here because we have run into this now I believe three times since yesterday and then this morning as well. So what I mean by what you need to know versus why you need to know it here. When we do our discovery, it doesn't matter what type of person you're talking to. You could be talking to somebody who's under 65 that's on Medicaid, talk to somebody who's T65. They're just now starting their Medicare. Could be somebody who's over 65 and on an Advantage plan, over 65 and on a supplemental plan. Guess what? When I want to learn about them, what do? I figure out everything. And there are specific reasons as to why I need to know that information and what information I need to know as well. We had an individual here in the office yesterday where it was one of our apprentices and her mentor was out. So I had to step in and got it transferred over to me. And I said, all right, what's going on? Tell me a little bit about the situation. She goes, well, she's turning 65, so we want to get her all set up. And I go, okay, perfect. Went through the notes and everything. I go, okay, so what are your medical conditions? Well, turns out this lady's diabetic. She's got rheumatoid arthritis, and she's got about 4 or 5 prescriptions that are pretty much in question, okay? Her birthday is January 4th. So literally, we're calling 3 days before her Medicare starts. Okay. One of the very first questions I ask, and this is what I need to know here from the very beginning, is how long have you been on Medicare, or when is your Medicare supposed to start? That is key for a lot of people, because if you are just now turning 65, you're in your initial enrollment period, you have a certain time frame where you have to enroll. But this is why I ask it. Especially if somebody's turning 65, I ask them, have you applied? Have you gotten a Medicare card yet? And that is such a powerful question because we don't need your Medicare number just yet. I don't need to know your Part A and Part B dates. We can figure that out together. But I need to know if you applied for Medicare. Because this individual yesterday, she was on her employer individual plan for under 65. Her eligibility for Medicare started in 3 days. She hasn't got anything in place, and she hasn't even applied for Medicare yet, okay? That is the very first question. When I got on that call, I asked her, I go, okay, you're turning 65 in 3 days. Have you applied? And she goes, no, I haven't yet. And I go, well, guess what you're doing tomorrow? Because you have to get this done as soon as possible. Because if you wait long enough, it is going to delay it. And if you wait too long, you can't even get it until next year. Okay, that's a realization that a lot of people don't know. They get very lackadaisical about it, say, yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. Well, guess what? If you ain't getting to it, then you ain't going to get it. Because there are stipulations, there are time frames that things have to be met. So I needed to know if she has applied, because that steers the whole conversation. Luckily, with Medicare supplements, you can apply, have it effective January 1st here. And then once I get the Medicare card, just inform the carrier of it. You're fine there. But if I was strictly an Advantage plan only type of agent here, I couldn't enroll her. I could have a great conversation with her for a few hours, but guess what? You can't close it. You don't have a Medicare number. You can't help her with the drug plan. You can help her, sure, with the ancillary stuff like dental, vision, hearing, final expense. Really, the only things you need a Social Security number for. But when we talk, really 2 out of the 3 major medicals when it comes to supplement, Advantage plan, and drug plan, 2 of those require a Medicare number. So that is why I needed to know When are you starting Medicare, or when have you applied? Because I tell you what, it comes back a lot. It really does. Quite a few people that are turning 65 that go to, they just think it'll start. I'll get a card in the mail. It'll be fine. Guess what? It doesn't happen like that. You have to be informing these people and not just assuming. Just because she's turning 65 doesn't mean that she knew how to turn 65. She didn't know the steps to do it. She didn't know she had to enroll in Medicare. You have to go further into the discovery to really know what's going on. And for her, the worst part about it is that her group retirement plan that was being offered, if she would have got her Medicare, is better than any Advantage plan or supplemental plan that we could find her due to the cost. But guess what? She doesn't qualify for it because she didn't enroll in Medicare. So this is why you have to distinguish between the what you need to know and why you need to know it. Okay. That was just her Medicare. Now, when it comes to conditions as well, because we were looking at a supplemental plan, for somebody that is open enrollment, you probably thinking, well, if I go the supplemental route, there's no health questions. I don't have to underwrite it. I'm not even going to bring it up. I don't really care about, are you 2 years removed from cancer treatments? Have you had a rheumatoid arthritis treatment? Are you diabetic with complications? None of that matters right now. But the way that I get my clients and the way that I retain my clients specifically, meaning I still get paid on them for not doing anything, okay, is because you don't plan for T65. You plan for T70, T75, T80. Because in this case here, this individual, she was diabetic with complications. And it's so important to tell them, this is your only shot to get it. There's going to be no other chance for you to get this plan due to your health conditions. And guess what? In the previous call, that never once came up. It was just, well, yeah, I'm turning 65. I got to sign up for something. Those are the clients where you just sign them up because they want to sign up or they know they have to sign up. They don't know what they need. Those are the ones that aren't going to be on your books in 2 to 3 years. Those are going to be on the books of other agents who are spending the time to go over those situations with them and let them know of everything that is happening. Before I walked in here, one of our guys, he was on the phone with somebody who's turning 65 in March, and it turns out they are on the list for a kidney transplant. Okay. We need to know that. That's a part of the what. We need to know what medical conditions you have. But the why is because if you were trying to close it or you were trying to be this person's agent for life, you have to tell them, look, you have end-stage renal kidney disease. You need an organ transplant. This is the only time ever you are going to go into your initial enrollment period and say, I want the best coverage out there with the supplemental plan, and I can qualify for it. That's what's so important, because I tell you what, if somebody would have put that man on an Advantage plan when he turned 65, he better get ready to pay. He is going to pay so much out of pocket. So much. Organs, they don't grow on trees. They cost a heck of a lot of money. You want to put somebody in bankruptcy real quick that doesn't have a lot of assets, they don't get a lot of income from Social Security, they can't budget a random check for $3,000. That is how you do it. That is how you lose clients. That is how you lose your book of business, because you are going for the immediate satisfaction of, let me post this sale, let me get a tick on the board, and let me get paid in a week to 2 weeks or so. You're not thinking about 68, 69, 70. He might be on a kidney transplant list for 2 or 3 years before it actually happens. And guess what? When that happens, guess how much that's going to cost him? It's going to cost him everything, because of how invasive, how much time and effort has to go into the pre-ops, the post-ops, the surgery itself. It's going to be an arm and a leg by the time he's done. But it doesn't have to be if you know what you need to know. So when you're doing open enrollments, when you're doing T65s, or if they're retiring and they're 68 and they're taking out their Part B, terrific. You don't have any health questions to go off of. But do you know what I do? I ask the health questions. I do that here because it's important for me to know why everything is going on. I need to know what your health conditions are. I need to know if you're diabetic. Here are the key ones, guys, too, that you need to be asking on every person you talk to. These are really the top 5, top 6 things that these companies look for. You need to plan for. Number 1, are you diabetic? Diabetes with complications is one of the most declinable things out there that you cannot overcome by waiting 2 years from treatment or 3 years from treatment, like it would be a cancer treatment. Okay, those are lifetime questions where no insurance company will touch them with a stick unless it's for a jacked up premium or they get level 2'd or standard 2, because it's too much of a risk for the insurance company to take. Number 2, cancer treatments, any type of cancer. You can get away with some like basal and squamous, but really any type of internal cancer or melanoma, they're gonna wait because that's too much risk for an insurance company to take. Same with chronic kidney disease. You're looking at dialysis here. You're looking at organ transplants eventually. If it does get to that point, it's very costly. Another one, COPD. A lot of carriers besides Aetna do not like COPD, and through the past few years, COPD has been just a blanket diagnosis. You have some type of breathing issue, you got COPD. Or as I had one gentleman tell me from Michigan one time, I got that COVID. And I just started laughing because that's such an old man thing to say too. Instead of calling it COPD, he called it COVID. But so we've got diabetes, we've got cancer, kidney disease, we have COPD. Another one's cardiovascular. You look at heart attacks. You're going to have some time between heart attacks, between heart surgery, between stents. All of this here because you're just deemed too risky, especially if they're going to put a defibrillator in. Again, nobody's going to touch defibrillator. And then the final one, do you have anything upcoming? Do you have any surgeries you need to get done? Do you need to have cataracts done? Do you need to have knee surgery done? Do you have a joint replaced? All of that there is so important as to why you need to know it, because that is going to base what you recommend off of. Every time here, and now again, this is me specifically, you might have a different approach to me. If it is feasible, I'm going to recommend a supplemental plan every single time you are in your initial enrollment period. Why? Because that's the only time you get it without any questions. It's the only time you can qualify for it. So why not at least try it for a year? If you don't like it, sure, we'll sign you up with an Advantage plan. We can do that here. But you can't pass up being able to be approved. Okay.
I have a question. What's the difference between discovery questions and the questions that you have to ask for health questions? Like how do agents keep those a little bit separate in their mind?
Okay, so
repeat my question.
So good question here from Buckley. He was kind of asking, what's the difference between discovery questions and the health questions that are in an application? Okay, if I'm talking to a person and I go, all right, let me get a little bit of your health history here. And I ask, within the past 12 months, have you been hospitalized? No, you haven't? Okay. Are you stuck to a wheelchair? No? Okay. Now, here are some anytime questions. Have you ever been? You're not going to want to go through all 15 to 20 underwriting questions from the very beginning. You want to get a basis and go from there for your recommendation. Because here's the thing. If I'm asking you and you're diabetic with complications, I know from the get-go that you're going to get declined if we look at any other time out there. I know from right away, I can see here, this looks pretty risky to me. So I'm discovering not only what we're looking at now, but what we're looking at in the future. Because there is time and point for health questions, but really when you're in your initial discovery phase, you need to hit on the big ones first, the most common ones. Sure, there are some kind of blankets like cardiovascular issues, respiratory issues, diabetes, kidney disease, cancer. Those are really your main 5 that are really quick points. That's what the discovery for is. You are getting what you need to know in order to make this assumption of their health. Because you go off of 2 things. You go off those questions and you go off what medications they're taking. Because the medications are going to lead you on the roadmap of how healthy is this person. If I talk to somebody and they are just on one cholesterol medication, I'm going to prep them. I'm going to say, look, you are super healthy. You're not going to have an issue qualifying here as long as your health stays the same down the road. So we can look and see what the best deal for you is going to be. Versus if I'm talking to somebody who's got every ailment known to man, almost like the story I told yesterday, then I will tell them exactly why. I go, look, this is why I needed to know all this information here, because you're never going to qualify again. So I have to put you with the most reputable and standard plan out there that is not going to be one of these plans where these companies come in, they offer a new division, and then 2 years they flip it. And guess what? Your $120 plan G year one and year four is now $220. It's not going to help somebody that has an organ transplant. It's not going to help somebody that has diabetes with complications. It's really not. That's why you have to learn the correct questions to ask. Now, not only, I say again too, is it not what you need to know, why you need to know when it comes to ancillary products. When you talk about stacking on some policies and you talk about stacking on some commission money in your pocket, that is ancillary, okay? Every person you talk to, especially if they're in open enrollment, they're just now starting their Medicare, you should come away with about 4 policies. You really should. That's a standard. You should come out with your major medical. If it's a supplement, you're going to come out with a drug plan, come out with a dental plan, come out with a final expense or cancer policy, heart attack policy. You need to come out with at least 4. And this is why. Because if you talk to them next year and they say, yeah, money's a little tight. Well, guess what you can cancel? You can cancel off cancer plan, you can cancel off dental plan, cancel off final expense plan. That's one of the 4. Guess what? They still have 3. Versus if you just write them one, say a plan G, and in the next year it increases by $40, they can go out there and shop that all they want. And when they shop that, guess what? They canceled that policy. They canceled everything with you. So it's all about keeping everybody that you have on your books. And how do you do that? You discover not only their health, I'll go back to what we talked about yesterday, not only what they need, what they want, but what is going to be their best option. Because I tell you right now, if I hadn't done that discovery to learn that lady yesterday has not applied for Medicare, she has not. She has this Medicare plan that's available through her retirement coverage. It's really good. If I would have just got on the phone and went, okay, yeah, so you want to do this plan G? All right, yeah, it's $98 with Manhattan. There's a one-time application fee of $25. Okay, go ahead and get it done. And then she never applied for Medicare. And her insurance dropped her when she turned 65 because she became Medicare eligible. What kind of taste is that going to leave in her mouth when she goes to the doctor in February and she shows them her Manhattan card and they go, ma'am, this doesn't work. You don't have Medicare. How poorly is that going to reflect on me? A heck of a lot. When I'm the one that's substituted in to help out. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, my name is on that application. Who gets yelled at? I do. So that is why it is so important to do your discovery and ask your questions and deep dive into it a little bit. Piggybacking on the ancillary, what do you need to know? You need to know if they have a final expense. You need to know if they have a dental, vision, and hearing policy or if they're continuing one. You need to know if they have any type of indemnity plans, any hospital indemnity or accidents. You need to know about cancer plans, stroke plans, heart attacks. You need to know all of that. But it's important how you bring it up and how you ask it. Because if you just ask, do you have a final expense? No. Do you have a dental? No. Do you have an indemnity plan? No. Do you have cancer? You go down the line and you're just basically reading off a sheet here, okay? When it comes time for you to actually quote it and you're going over and you can say, all right, we're budgeting for about $200 here a month for you, okay? So what I'm going to suggest is, a plan G at $120. Your drug plan with WellCare is going to be $10. We can tack on a $5,000 Cigna DVH for $45 a month, and we'll tack on a $7,000 final expense benefit. That one's going to be $25, and all in here. They're going to go, well, wait, what's that final expense? Why do I need that? What's this other? Why do I need that? Why do I need that? Well, if you don't address it, when you're first bringing up the questions. If you don't have enthusiasm about it, if you don't know anything about it too, you really need to start studying, because when you're asking them about the ancillary products, that is your ticket in. That's the what. You need to know what they have for it, but also why they have it. If they have one, ask them how much it's for. What's your benefit amount? How much are you paying for it? Who's your beneficiary? How long ago did you get it? You need to know all of this, because then it sets you up to address all of their needs. If they're paying too much for it, one gal we talked to today, she signed up for a $15,000 policy that also included some renter's insurance too. And I went and looked, and I had to tell her, going through everything, I knew who her beneficiary was. It was her daughter that lives 2 states over, that comes and visits 2 or 3 times a year. But in it, check the premiums. Premiums were very much spot on. And what do people love being told when they make decisions like that? You made a great decision with that policy. You're not going to be able to beat it. You need to stick with it. People get real happy with that. Especially too, if you're talking to somebody who already has a Medicare supplement. If they got some bad health, they're not able to change, you tell them, look, you made a terrific decision when you turned 65 by going with this plan. Because right now there's nothing else out there that is going to save you money without you lowering your coverage. So you did something very, very smart. What do people do? They automatically get happy. They get excited because they feel like, what? I did make a good decision. Okay. That happiness, that emotion, that bonding that you have with them is going to just skyrocket once you tell them that they're smart and they made the right decision. You don't want to tell people they're dumb, not every time, but you want to say, there are some things that we can't address when we can. So from yesterday, when we talk about the need versus want here in the discovery, there are some things that, it's what you need to know, but it's really the why you need to know them behind it that will set you up for success. But also tell these people that you're talking to. Tell them why you need to know about their health conditions, why you need to know about their medications, why you need to know about their dental plan, their vision plan, their hearing, their final expense. Why do you need to know all this? Because you're trying to be the best damn agent out there for them. That's why. You don't want them off your book. You want to keep them as long as you possibly can. You want to service them. You want to be their person, because when you're their person, they bring you their people. Okay? That is why you ask those questions. That is why you get those discovery details. That is why we do this job. That is why we wake up. That's why we come in here smiling. At least I do. I love it so much I come in an hour early every day. Do I got a lot of stuff I got to do? Well, yeah, too, that. But before I can hop on the phone. But why? Because I get excited to come in here and talk to people and be a positive change on some really recently negative mind frames when it comes to Medicare. And people just getting marketed out of the wazoo here. That's why I do it. But why do I do such a thorough discovery? Because I don't want to be surprised by anything that I could have found out earlier. So that is it for that discovery there, guys. If you are a Guru's Career Agent, we are going to join the Zoom call here, so be sure to check your email. Stephen will be there too. I can stick around for a little bit if Stephen needs me, but he's a big boy. He can handle it himself. So for today, thank you guys. If you watched the video, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, feel free to put them in the video below. Let us know if there's anything you need to address. And Buckley has something too here that I need to repeat.
Guru's Career Agents, make sure to check your email for the Zoom, for the link to the private exclusive Zoom.
Guru's Career Agents, be sure to check your email for the private exclusive link for the Zoom. Got it. Look like a weatherman with a teleprompter. Just don't Ron Burgundy me here. Saying that's a good movie. But otherwise, thank you guys. Have yourselves a great new year. And remember here for my new sign off, be good. And if you can't be good, be safe. Thanks, guys.